Have you ever been scrolling Instagram or reading a founder story and thought, oh, she's so lucky? I'm Alicia Mafadia, and I want to welcome you to She Got Lucky, where luck is just the beginning. After building 3 global brands, creating next level wealth through my social media, and being announced as Instagram's first Reels Pro, I know that there's a lot more than luck to getting started, and that with the right strategy, mindset, and drive, almost anyone can create a business that feels too good to be true or too fun to be considered work. In this podcast, we explore the stories of women who've made their mark, not just by chance, but through trust, resilience, and a belief in their capabilities. We'll dive into the actual strategies, stories, and secrets of success. So, if you're ready to chase your dreams, and instead of wondering how she did it, make it happen for yourself, tune in and let's redefine what it means to be lucky in the world of business.
Okay. Brid, I am so freaking excited, over the moon, all the things to have you on the She Got Lucky podcast.
I'm so freaking pumped. Like, we already have the time of our life together, but this just feels special. The new podcast, the new office. I'm really excited. It feels like we're going to make magic.
We absolutely are. We're going to make magic. So first things first, I want to dive into a moment where somebody broke down your success, your magic, who you are, what you've created, and they've put it down to luck.
You know, there's so many little like micro moments that have happened over the last couple of years. But I love this question, Alicia, because people, I think, assumed that I had success early on for some reason. So when I first started my business, like, oh, well, Bridget travels, so it's got to be traveling. Okay, that's got to be it. And then people saw me scale quickly to 100K, and they're like, well, maybe it was like her first year in business. And I heard other people say things like, well, she's young. And so maybe that's it. And then my second year business, we did 680K. And then they're like, well, you know, like she's just compounding momentum. And then I've heard people be like, she must just be taking so much action, or there must be this thing. And now it's going on our 4th year in business. And we just crossed 2 million. And I don't really hear it as much anymore because I think people have kind of like run out. They're like, I think it's just work ethic, passion, heart, soul, you know, all of those things. So I don't have one specific moment where someone kind of tore me down. I definitely have some like awful moments where people have said things, but it's like a culmination of people deciding, oh, it must be this. Oh, it must have been that she knew Instagram, or that she was young, or that she left the USA. And they're like basically looking for excuses to validate why they haven't done the thing that they want to be doing.
Yeah, spot on. Oh my goodness. And for context, you are now living in Costa Rica.
Yeah,
like what a dream. What a freaking dream.
Yeah, literally, Alicia, last night I was making dinner and I got on my hands and knees and just started praying and thanking God so much because I was like, my boyfriend was out getting a massage on the beach because he loves to get massages on the beach. I was just looking up at the ceiling in my house going, how did I get here? Because 3 years ago, I was in Costa Rica, broke, student loan debt, making $2,000 a month. And then I was looking in my house like, this is my house. Like I bought this thing and a car in the garage, and all just because of showing up for the dream and the vision.
So let's go back to that. Let's go back to where this started, because what I really want to dive in, like Bridge, like we could talk about anything and it would be the best freaking podcast episode ever. Even listening to your voice, I'm like, oh, the energy. We got energy going, right? But I would love to really talk about, you have built the Freedom Queen movement. And literally, if I see anyone put their like hands up to their head, I'm like, Freedom Queen. I'm like, no, they're just stretching. They're just stretching. Okay, not a Freedom Queen, no worries. Right? So you have built I know. Whew, look out. So you have built an insane movement, and you know, building impact, creating lasting, memorable impact is what I'm all about. So I want to dive into how the heck, where did this start, and how did you build such an insane global movement?
When I started, I really realized that I was building the business different than other people, different than my mentors. And, you know, I still hired them. They're still amazing people, but we were just building in different ways. And I saw a lot of people kind of showing up in the online space to make money from a really quick way. And I thought, I don't want to do that. I don't want just a course business or just a coaching business or people know me for, hi, I am Bridget and I can help you grow your online coaching business. I didn't want that. I felt like, okay, this has got to be something bigger than just selling my service, which is fine. Not everyone's meant to build a movement, but I do believe that movement makers dominate. And if you think of people like Taylor Swift is a movement maker. Christina Aguilera is not a movement maker. That doesn't make one better than the other. But if your soul calls you to build something big, you have to listen to it and you have to go all in. If you're listening to this episode and you're like, I'm a movement maker, then you have to show up that way. And so I really led with a couple of foundations that to this day are one of our methodologies for building $1 million movements. And one of those pieces is community. That's a really big piece, vision and where you're going, and then you pioneering the pathway for the people that you serve. And so I just started really focusing on community. And a lot of my mentors in like the earlier stages would say, like, you just have this community, you just build this movement, this thing. And Alicia, I remember in 2022, I started saying, I'm building movements. And I remember people saying to me and kind of looking at me like, what the heck is a movement? What are you talking about? I'm like, it's a movement. It's not a coaching business. It's a movement. And now everyone in the online space is like, we're building movements. And that's amazing. Because I think the thing with a coaching business, and that's fine, or a course business, is that eventually if you only pigeonhole yourself into one niche or one area, you probably start to lose the heart and soul of the business, which is the people and the vision and the community that you're moving towards. So it started off from the beginning, but I didn't actually know to what extent that this was going to go to.
Do you think it is the case of you start moving and then you don't wake up and you're like, I'm going to build a movement today. I'm going to build this today. Because I feel like a lot of the time people are like, oh, but I'm just not sure which path I want to take. I'm just not sure which area I want to go. I'm just not sure. And I'm like, just start. And then as you move, you'll figure it out. Oh, that path wasn't right for me. Oh, this didn't feel good for me. That's not what I wanted. And you build it as you go. But in way of what would you really define when you look around and you see incredible coaches, but they haven't got that, like, I really see it as like these vibrations, right? It's like these ripples. If you're like in the ocean, and I see these incredible coaches, and that's not diminishing anything from who they are, what they're doing, but I see them in the water and there's some ripples. But I see people like you and it's like waves. It is waves and they are going far. And what would you break that down? Like, you've said community. What are some things that you'd break this down to be?
First of all, they dominate because there's a feeling. And I like what you said about the vibration. There's a different essence inside of this space. It doesn't feel like a transaction. Yeah, the transaction equals transformation, but it doesn't feel like a churn and burn space. It feels like a home. Like, wait a second, this is a place that I self-identify with. And in Freedom Queen, and in this particular movement example, people are vastly different. In some movements, people might be more similar than inside of Freedom Queen, but they come in and they self-identify with the mission, the culture, the values, the vision that you guys are all going towards. We have things like movement mantras, slangs, things that are only said within inside. And one of the things that's been really cool, Alicia, that I've been studying recently is the retention rates are way higher because people feel like they belong to something versus, I think of different programs that I've invested in. Again, I've learned so much and I would never put anyone down and they are so valuable. And I also know that I probably would never invest again because there was no essence, no soul, no heart. There was nothing bigger there. And that's fine. But you just have to look at what is the vision that you have for your own business that you're creating? And you can do this at different levels. It doesn't have to be million, multiple millions, 100 million. It can be, I have a movement and it's 100K and I'm so happy about that.
Yeah. I love that you've just pointed out there, though, that sense of belonging. Like as human beings, we are wired to have these social interactions to feel secure, to feel safe, to feel, surrounded by our people and to find our tribe, going way, way, way back. Like people were in tribes. And so if you are able to create, whether it be a membership, whether it be a community, whether it be, you know, whatever it is, but if you want people to stay, yes, there's a part of over delivering. Yes, there's a part of, you know, ensuring that they're getting results. Cool. But I think you've literally just hit so much gold there, Bridge, in the sense of like, if people are like, I can't leave, like, this is my family, this is my people. Like, that right there is so good.
Yeah. It's like they feel like a valuable member of society. And people think that human beings like don't like work or don't like to be on purpose or don't like to put in action, but they do. And I think one of the biggest mistakes service providers make or coaches make is assume that their clients aren't interested in being involved, taking action, and putting in the work. And 2 years ago, I started saying action takers are money makers as one of like the pieces inside of the movement. And I started to see this like tribe of women that were like, thank you for speaking to people that love taking action. I think, you know, I think about my own self. And I just made a podcast episode about this, and so kind of controversial somehow, which is the only times in my business where I've hated it, I've been sad, feeling slightly just like, have been the times when I'm not actually going towards the vision that I'm creating. It's when I'm settling. Oh, that's good enough. That's fine. I don't need more. Don't need to do this. Rather, the times when I've had my soul on fire, I'm so happy, momentum, things are popping off, are the times when I'm absolutely pioneering towards the most buck wild, insane goal that I've ever had in my life. And I think people don't give themselves the permission to go after those massive things. And then they're like, why am I sad? Why don't I have motivation? It's like, well, your goals are boring.
Yeah. Oh, and I told myself, Bridge, I was just like, let me get my glass. Because I'm going to have to send you one of my full and filled glasses. I told myself, I was like, every time Bridge says one of her like key sayings. So like, holy, what is it? Holy balls of fire. You say that one a lot. You say action takers are money makers. There's a few. I was like, every time she says it, I'm going to drink some water. That's my exciting
it's
life.
Our drinking game.
I know. Refill my cup. But I freaking love this conversation so much because I think what you've just said, Bridge, is just so bang on. And it's really brought up something, is that in this world we live in, incredible world, there are so many distractions. There are so many distractions. And I have absolutely found that in my journey, some of the times when I have become unhappy in business or lost the love, lost the joy, lost the magic, lost that spark is when I have fallen into the trap of the distractions. Oh, well, this could be a cool offer. Well, this could be cool. Oh, this would be great. Oh, you know, like ego distractions as well. My ego feeding into this is good, you need to do this to be seen as whatever. And that doesn't feed into my big purpose. That doesn't feed into like why I'm actually doing this. And suddenly I wake up and I'm like, I'm not excited to get up and work. I'm not excited to do this. I'm not, you know, and so these distractions, I feel they are all around, and that discipline of knowing you have so many opportunities in this world we live in, like 2024, you know, there are so many things, especially as women in business, you can be doing. But I think it's also a case of knowing when to say no, not right now, or just no, that's not for me because it doesn't feed into my bigger vision.
Yeah, I get it. I was just actually helping a client with this because she's like, I think I need to start saying no to more people. I think I'm at this place in my business where I've said yes to so many people. And now I think I need to say no. Like, no, I can't answer every single DM. And no, I can't be interviewed everywhere. And I can't do these things because that's actually not going to move the business forward. And you have to kind of protect your own throne in some capacities when you're scaling and growing.
100%. So let's dive into, because you have had, like, I have just been absolutely cheering from the other side of the world. I've been cheering on because it's just been like, I'm just like this. Seriously, this girl is flying. I'll put all her socials, I'll put all her details in the show notes. Like, you need a Bridget in your life. Like, when I met Bridget, straight away, I was like, whew, this is my type of person.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously. I was like, energy. But I want to talk about, right, you are so magnetic, and the growth you have built in your business is just not stopping. So I want to talk through, right? Like, I'm like, by the time this episode comes out, she'll probably like, yep, we just scaled to 5 million this year. You know, it's not even May. And so I want to talk about, Bridge, like, what are some of the key things that have helped build your $1 million movement, right? You've surpassed $1 million, but what are some of the things that you perhaps said no to that were distractions? And then the things that you really doubled down on that you're like, this is what built this.
Yeah. Okay. So what have I recently said no to? I've been asked to be on in a couple different summits. So this is like the year of like summits. I don't know what's going on. Well, we have our conference happening this year, so that's going to be awesome. But that's like, I'm talking about like virtual summits. I've had a lot of people ask recently, and I've been declining some of them. Or if people ask, can you be on this summit? I'll say yes, but here's my parameter, because some people are asking, can you do X, Y, and Z? And if that brand doesn't align, I'm not going to share an Instagram post or send an email out to my list. And so I've been saying a lot more no to that type of work. I've also been really, really intentional about who I'm bringing into close proximity in spaces. I'm not selling as much of my time anymore. It's a lot more of come into these different home spaces that we have. So I'm just protecting my time. I'm also protecting my imagination, because something I've noticed, and I actually just recently had my team like block off so much time in our calendar, because the more I'm imagining and I'm over here like listening to music and dancing in my office, and I got the idea, I'm like, boom, boom, let's go. Like, I'm a better mentor, I'm a better creator, I have space, I'm happier. So I've been definitely saying no to just things in my schedule. Setting boundaries with people. I've recently had to do that, where I had to say like, hey, you can't communicate in this mode anymore with me. And these are people that I love, but I have to protect my mindset and my health and where I'm moving towards in the future. And it's really hard to do, because you love these people and you love the relationship that you built. But if you don't see this current relationship going with you, and there's definitely been times in my journey where I've held on to people for too long, and 2024, I'm practicing letting go, and people that are meant to come with me even more. So that's definitely for letting go.
Yeah, I love that.
And then for things like you must absolutely do. So the other night, Robbie and I were laying in bed and we were talking about like websites and funnels. And we're like, we need a funnel hub. And we spent like 15 minutes talking about this. And we look at each other and we go, we're insane right now. We do not need any of this. What is the number one thing that you need as a business owner? Traffic. You need to be able to get in front of people. And this is why what you do, Alicia, is so amazing for every single person in the online space, because it's the only thing that matters. And I have multi-7-figure clients coming to me and they're like, I should be doing all these other things. I'm like, no, you shouldn't. You should be focusing on content, creating amazing copy, and getting in front of people on a day-to-day basis and selling. And like what you were saying with the distractions, it's so easy to go, let me build the funnel. Let me do the website. Let me go make a new offer. Let me go do this. It's like, but what actually matters? Let me go build out an event. No. Do you have people that are going to come to the event? Because then what you should focus on is Alicia's Reels strategy or carousels that you teach or anything with content. Like, that's the number one thing that you should focus on. So I'd say that would be from a strategy standpoint, and something I always come back to. Like, even to this right now, we're focused on scaling to $200,000 in monthly recurring revenue. And my focus is content. And I think a lot of people go, she must be doing something secret. She must be doing something that I don't know. And it's like, no, I'm just doing the thing that you avoid doing, but I'm doing it better over and over and over and over and over again, falling on my face, learning from it, doing it again. So I would say that from a strategy standpoint. And then from a mindset standpoint, that's a must, is being around people that expand you. And so whether that's investing and getting in a room, and I used to think people were just saying this to sell to me. And now I'm like, oh, this is a cheat code. Like one of the reasons why Robbie and I are flying to Dubai tomorrow is because we know we're going to be in a room with people. The entry point is like $1 million that you've had to have made. And so we know the conversations that we're going to have. That's going to expand us immensely. So getting in the rooms, in the physical rooms, on calls like this, like just anything that's going to expand you outside of your comfort zone.
100%. And I agree. I used to think that as well. It felt like just something that was said, but it's like when you are actually around people who expand you, you get that. You get that on a deeper level. It's not a case of like, oh yeah, they keep me accountable, or oh yeah, they tell me what I need or whatever. It's like when I am around these people, I feel freaking unstoppable. And I'm like, oh, let's go. Like they activate you.
Yes, it's like that coffee date with that friend that you keep going out with that is not ever going to be successful, and they're not adding any value to your life. And, there's nothing else. I don't mean like you can't hang out with people that make less money than you. By all means, it's not what I'm saying. But it's like if they're not expanding to you and it's constant like a woe is me conversation, get out. And honestly, the best thing you can do for people, and I say this all the time to my clients, the best thing you can do for your clients is choose to rise, because they learn more from you by watching you than actually consuming all your courses and things that you're doing.
And working with and being in the space of someone who is rising, especially the type of person who's like, we as a team, we as a community, we're all rising together. Like that is the best place to be around as well. It's like, if I'm going, you're going as well. We're all going up. This is just like lights me up so much. Always talking to you, always listening, anything with you, Bridge, lights me up. And one thing I want to tap into, because, I think you and I both have this in common, is the play, is the fun, is the creativity, the imagination. Every time I see you on your reels, on your content, you just look so freaking like just happy, just so in love with what you are doing. Right. And I posted a reel about this the other day because somebody asked me, like I've been seeing people say, don't do dancing reels, don't do these sort of reels anymore. And I'm like, I don't care what type of reels you do. But if you are posting reels and you aren't creating a feeling in someone, then don't sit there and be like, oh, well, why isn't it activating? Why aren't people taking action? Why aren't people buying? It's like, you need to make sure that if you're putting content out there, then the biggest thing, there's lots of things we can add, hooks, blah, 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 transitions, all sorts of like the way you word, the blah, but the way you make people feel is the most important thing when it comes to, at interactions, transactions. And so when I see you, Bridge, I can absolutely tell straight away that you are somebody who is just in their zone. The creativity, the imagination. And it's one of the reasons, why I still believe that Taylor Swift is as incredible and as powerful as she is her imagination. It's like a child is like her younger self is there with her all the time being like, how cool would it be if we did this?
It's so funny you say that, because today I was in my office and I was doing this weird thing that I was doing. And I was in my head and I was thinking about how I need to make some content, because Robbie will ask me, like, we'll be out in the kitchen and I'll have to go do something. And I'll say, I'm going to go to my playroom now, like as if I'm a child. And I was in my office today thinking this is such like a playroom. And I wish more people understood that, because we're literally paid to be creative, imaginative, to figure out new ideas and pioneer them. And then you create it and you get paid for your creation.
Yeah, seriously. And, it's one of the reasons why I've said by the end of this year, I did a little team retreat last year and we had a ball pit in the retreat. And I'm like, I'm going to have a ball pit in my workspace, because like how easy it is to just tap into that fun, playful energy when you have that around you. None of this like what we think is professional, what we think is corporate. And it's like, what the heck brings you out, that fun, playful version, and bring that in. So, Bridge, I love that you've got your playroom. And look, like, I want to know, diving back, right? So before you had your business, where were you? What were you doing?
I was working in New York City at what was a dream job. So I majored in dance. And that was like a rebellious thing. You know, everyone said like, what are you going to do with that degree? And I said, doesn't effing matter. I'm going to make the reality that I want to make. So I kind of always had this personality of like, I'm going to pioneer whatever I want to do, what makes me happy. So I moved to New York City. I got a job in this school system where I was leading this piece of dance education in middle schools. And I was working in the Bronx, and then I was auditioning on the side and taking classes. And after 2 years of doing that, I realized I hated the education system. So I left that and started managing a dance company that was about auditions and performances and proving how dance can help improve children's ELA test scores for people where English is a second language, and how it helps with all things education for childhood development. And then we had a performance side, and I was performing as well. But I've always been like an entrepreneur. In high school, I went to school part-time and I studied how to build in-person dance businesses, but I got paid. And I always felt like I was the weird one in the high school because everyone was, you know, going to school and taking these stupid classes senior year, where I was like, I'm going to go to school part-time, get paid, you know, for my career and learn how to build businesses. And so when I graduated, I had money and then went to college in New York City and then started managing companies and performing. But while I was there, I started multiple businesses. So I did like dog walking. I would sell things I found on the side of the street. In college, I would buy like really cheap Burnett's because I had a fake ID, just cheap alcohol. And then I would charge $1 to $2 per shot and profit on the bottle. And so just like little things like this that I've always done, little jobs I had in college, and I would make money every single weekend doing these things. And so I've always kind of had that mentality of like, how can I profit right now and create a service at the same time? And so in New York City, I was doing everything. I was like managing a fitness studio. I would get done with my one job managing a dance company, and then I would leave that, take the subway, go to my second job. And then on the weekends, I would do another job. And then in around 2018, I got involved in network marketing. And I had no idea what network marketing was. Somebody was like, just do this 30 days program and you're going to get healthy. And I got healthy. And, you know, some people are like, I hate network marketing. I'm not one of those people, because I think that in network marketing, there's so much you can learn from it, because, you know, it has a negative connotation and people will hate on you. They will say things about you. You will get told no over and over and over again. And so I don't recommend network marketing as a business model at all, because the profit margins are so low, just for like a number of reasons. But I'm so happy that for 2 years, I failed at that business until the third year in it. I called it my Subway business. I started to kind of understand social media and how to use it to bring in traffic and sell. It was this vegan protein that I was selling. And I had amazing client results and they were loving it. And I ended up replacing my full-time job income with that business. And I remember getting the paycheck one month and going, wait, this is the same amount that I make from the job that I absolutely can't stand. Yeah. And so I left. I quit. And like I would say, after I quit my job, like 4 months later, I had closed a network marketing company and opened up the coaching business. And I was doing some other things like teaching fitness. I was writing for a blog as a nutritionist for this magazine in the UK. Like, and I wasn't even a nutritionist. Like, I was just doing things that I was like, we have to make this work. Like, I'm going to find a way. I'm going to do this. Like,
yes. Yeah. I feel like that's also that is, you know, at the beginning you are just like, let me try, let me do that. If that's an opportunity, I can make that work. You know, it is that season where it's like, yes, let's try it. Let's do it. Let's fail. You know, my gosh, if I went back and told Alicia back in 2020 when she was starting out, like, let's fail, it would be like, what the heck are you telling me to do? But as you've just said, you know, that was like the best thing.
Yeah. It was like the number of people that said no, or it just thickens your skin a lot too. And you like what people see is like they see I started in the coaching industry and just started making money very quickly. But what they don't see is the 3 years of me working my ass off, working multiple jobs, failing online, getting tons of hate. They don't see any of that. Like I had all this back experience, 3 years of trial and error to get to this.
Yeah, and that is literally like one of the reasons why I wanted the She Got Lucky podcast, because
Mm.
it is, people see it and they're like, oh, well, she got lucky. Oh, well, she was young. Oh, well, she was in the right time. Well, she's in the right industry, blah, 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 blah. And it's
Yeah.
like,
Wow.
no, like the amount of work, the amount of things you tried, you did, the courage it took, like I went to Taylor Swift. All I can think about is Taylor Swift at the moment. Like, she's one of the most influential women in the freaking world.
Yeah.
And that doesn't come by accident. And, for me as well, it's like being at Taylor Swift takes me back to times in my life. And it really allows me like the escape. Like I'm not saying my life, like I don't want to escape my life. I love my life,
of course.
but it allows me to literally like time travel back to
Yeah.
moments, back to
That's so good.
places. And why I asked you, Bridge, is, where you were before your business is I find a lot of people, they are in that 9 to 5, they are in that corporate world, and being in that space and then coming into having your own business. I'm not surprised when people come and they say, oh, but I'm not really creative. I'm not creative. Oh, how do you come up with all these creative ideas? I'm not really having that much fun in my business. And I'm like, you've been shoved into a world, into a 9 to 5 corporate job or whatever, where it's like they want you to be innovative, but they also want you to fit in the box. They want you to do this, do that, be like this.
And you're so tired.
And this is literally, and it's like, unlearn it all and just let like the child, yes, strategy. Yes, like I'm not saying like, we're not intelligent and smart and like we calculate what we're doing, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, let the fun back into your life. Let the joy, let the play from that child version of you back in. And that is what I see you do every single day.
Thank you for saying that. This feels like a moment when you were on my podcast. It's just like we just anchor things in for one another of yes, like, okay, that's it. I see you in your power. This is it.
Yeah, seriously. So tell me, right, like for somebody who's coming into your world and they're missing that spark, they're missing that joy, they're missing that fire of life, things are working in quotation marks, right? They're working on paper, but it doesn't feel like it's working. They aren't lit up by their business, right? Like, what are the shifts? What are the changes where you go straight away? Like, what are the actions you're like, we need to do this right away. We need to swap this out.
I think I would say something like, stop doing the things that you don't like doing and start doing the things that you like doing. But I really think it's bigger than that, because there have been so many times in my business where it had nothing to do with the action that I was taking. It wasn't actually the thing that I didn't enjoy doing or the offer that I actually didn't enjoy creating. I see that a lot of people will make an offer and then 5 months later, I hate this offer. It's like, do you hate the offer or have you lost your soul? Have you forgotten who you are? Have you placed an identity that's not yours on you of being just a coach or that you're just whatever industry or just that offer? Because you don't want to attach your worth to offers and to the business and to the things that you're selling. Rather, I like to attach myself or like get in the ship of like the journey, the adventure. So rather than being attached, like I have to hit this milestone and this launch has to go that way, and this has to go that way. If you just like get in your ship, I love thinking of like The Hobbit and go on this crazy, unexpected adventure, you're going to get to that milestone. You're going to get to that mountaintop. And then you're going to be on that mountaintop and Alicia and I will be cheering you on and we're so excited. And then you're going to have to go through another valley, which means you might not like everything. You might be unhappy at certain periods. There might be periods in your business where you're like, what the heck is happening? But that's the unexpected adventure that you've signed up for, which is life. And so I just encourage people to zoom out a little bit more and don't get so stuck in like the day-to-day details, the minute details that don't really matter, and zoom out and go, okay, this isn't just business. This is the life that you're creating. So what kind of storybook do you want to write? Do you want it to be the one where you like failed and you just quit and that's it? Or do you want to be the one where you like tried and tried and tried and tried for 3 years and then you kept going and then you had a breakthrough and then you got to another mountaintop and then another mountaintop and you kept going and you failed again and you kept going? Like one day we're going to die. We're not going to be here. And so you might as well just actually go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think also something that popped up for me maybe in the last 6 months is like, how heartbreaking would it be to get to that goal, to get to that place that I'm working towards and look back and be like, oh, those years just sucked. I'm so glad I'm here now. That, you know, those 10 years building this, these 5 years building this, like, ugh, that was such a crappy time of my life. Like, thank heck that's over.
Yeah.
Like that idea, really imagining that broke my heart because it's like,
Yeah.
exactly what you said, the journey. Like if you're not enjoying the journey to get to where you want to go, something needs to change.
Yes. So the other night, Robbie and I were in our living room and we're talking about this. And we had this moment of, we are never going to be here again. So all of these challenges that we've experienced, like those moments when you're moving towards that milestone, you are never going to get that back. So for example, we were talking about the conference coming up in September and we're like talking about all the moving parts and the things. And we said, we just want to anchor this in right now because there's never going to be another first Freedom Queen Live conference ever. And we're going to do another one and we're going to do another one. And so for somebody listening to this, like you're going to hit the 10K months and the 20 and the 100 and the million and the whatever, the 10 million. So can you just like take a moment and go, wow, this is so cool. We're here. Let's just soak this up because we're never going to be here again.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like that is the easiest way to, you know, people say comparison's the thief of joy, but I feel like comparing yourself to where you want to be, like where, like further down the track. Oh, this is amazing. But it's like, no, this is just freaking amazing. Like I am sitting here in my dream little office that I've literally like my green couch has been on my vision board for so long. This business has been there for so long. And I'm on a podcast with Bridget James Ling. Like how freaking cool is this? You know, just like literally being in that moment and like I just say, one of my clients said to me the other day, she's like, you know, yeah, this happened, but and I'm like, but that happened. Do you remember a time where you were like, I just want this? Like you're there. As you've grown, your dreams have grown and vision's grown, but you've just achieved that. Like how freaking cool. And I 100%, I agree completely.
I'm just like smiling the whole time. Like,
it's just like, and this is the thing. I'm just like, I could sit here absolutely all day just chatting away with you because there's so much with you. I 100%, you know, check out Bridge. As I said, I'll put the details in the show notes. But Bridge, with every She Got Lucky podcast, you know, starting with that moment where perhaps you've had that She Got Lucky experience, but I want to finish them with something that you want to tell, like activate. I want people to feel activated after every episode so they walk away with, okay, I'm going to go take action. I'm ready to make a move, right? I'm not just sitting here feeling inspired by Bridge. I'm not just going to go check her out and be like, you know, oh, cool. Like she was really awesome. I want you to take a move. So you're like, it was this episode that I listened to, and then I took this move that then rippled on, right? Yeah. This is the movement. Yeah. So what would you say? Somebody who is listening right now, they're doing cool things. They're doing all right. They're happy with where they're at, but they aren't like in this aura of their business, of their life. Yeah. They're wanting bigger cash months. They're not sure how to get that. What would you tell them?
I'll share a breakthrough that I had when I started having super high cash months and like didn't go back below that. It's this moment of everything's fine, right? Like you said, everything's good. You're making money. Clients are amazing. They're happy. But inside your soul, you know, like you're playing small. Like there's something else there that wants to be awakened. You want to make a bigger move. And it's like I was saying earlier, the times where I've been happiest in my life are when I'm just going for it. You know, it's like, this is crazy, but let's go anyways. That's when you're so alive. The entire soul is alive and you're awake. And so I used to say this mantra to myself during this season. And it really changed my entire life and allowed me. I didn't change any strategy. I didn't start saying different things. I just started actually being her. And it was this mantra of, I owe it to myself to be all in. And I would say it over and over again when my mind would go to doubt or something externally would happen and the mortal realm match with the destination that I wanted to go to. And I would say, I owe it to myself to be all in. So what would I do right now? I owe it to myself to be all in. So what would I do? I would go to the gym. I would go for the walk. I would make the post. I would make one more Instagram story slide selling my offer. I would press go live. I would invest in the thing. I would do this. This is what I would wear. And that mantra, honestly, that mantra saved me in many ways because I could have just kept going, 80, 90K cash months, and that's great, and keep doing that. But that's not what I signed up for. And so that mantra there, I owe it to myself to be all in. Whenever you're settling or you're like kind of shrinking again, go back to that.
I love that so much. And here I am being like, I'm currently in for Full and Filled. We're asking our audience, we're building our second collection, and it's literally going to be created by the community. Cool. And so we're getting them to come up with what we want on the glasses. We're getting them to vote. And I'm just like, so is this something that we're putting on one of our glasses? I owe it to myself to go all in. I love that. Can you just say that twice more for me, Bridge?
I owe it to myself to be all in. I owe it to myself to be all in.
I love it so much. And as I said, I could talk to you all day, but I just think that is the most magical, perfect way to end this episode. Bridge, thank you. Thank you so, so much. And my goodness, I feel like the next time I talk to you, you'll be a completely different person in a completely different season. You're moving, you're making, and you're a freedom queen. I'm so here for it.
I am calling it in that we are going to meet in person eventually. I will be in Thailand this summer. Something is happening. It has to happen.
Done. Absolutely. Done. And look, I found my superpower of as soon as I visualize something enough, it's happening. And watch this space. Watch this space. Whether you're listening to this episode today, whether you're listening to this episode 3 months from now, perhaps you could go onto my stories and see that Bridge and I just met. But anyway.
Yes. We'll share this episode that day.
The magic of it. Now, if you did love this episode, which obviously you did because it's a freaking good episode, Bridget James Ling, thank you very much, all the way from Costa Rica. One of my biggest things is loving where you are listening to the podcast episode. So please share it to your stories, share where you're listening, and tag Bridge, cool. tag myself, and then that way we can see where you are zoning in. Perhaps you are there sitting in a park saying to yourself, I owe it to myself to be all in. Maybe you're at the beach. We want to see. All right. So thank you so much for joining us, Bridge, on the She Got Lucky podcast. And I'll chat to you soon.
Yay. Thank you, Alicia.